quick moment to update some of the traffic information here. I've pulled up the Travel Midwest website. You can see it here on my iPad from IDOT, and of course they have the incident right here on the Eisenhower, and it says that the ramps at Harlem are closed in both directions, as well as inbound on the Eisenhower. They've got the right lane and right shoulder closed, so only 2 lanes are open at that point, and you can see how heavy the traffic is in each direction on the Eisenhower there. So again, we talk about the implications of this incident, not just for CTA commuters, but also for vehicular traffic and people in the immediate area in Oak Park, Forest Park, who need to drive around there because of the closures on Harlem Avenue itself. So just keeping track of things on a broader perspective here to let everybody know how many folks are actually affected by this transportation issue. So I keep looking on the website to see what's going on from the IDOT perspective as well.
Okay, I have to mention that, I'm checking on Twitter as well as we are sitting here. And of course, you can always tweet us here at the station, and also myself and Roz as well. But I have to tell you, there's, like 80 new interactions and tweets with the hashtag Blue Line this morning, just in, 5-10 minutes of time. So a lot of information going on right now on the feed. We are now looking at another live picture.
Yeah, this is the Eisenhower Expressway. So this is what I was talking about. We could see the delays on the map on the computer, and here they are, obviously, from Chopper 7 HD as they are happening. So very slow-moving traffic because of all of this, and there's all the emergency equipment blocking the right lane on the inbound side, because what they're doing here is working to single track so they can get some of these trains moving around this incident and at least get people where they need to be, because the Blue Line affects so many thousands of commuters, going back and forth between the suburbs here and the Eisenhower, between Forest Park and downtown Chicago, and then of course it goes out the Kennedy to O'Hare.
And then we heard from the CTA spokesperson earlier, there's really no way of telling right now that one track that is affected how long this investigation is going to take.
No, because they have to assess any damage that was done to the track, and then once they do, if there is damage, they have to make those repairs. I mean, it's a process.
Okay, once again, if you are just joining us this morning, we are continuing to follow this breaking situation going on the Blue Line. 2 CTA trains collided this morning just before 8 o'clock, again at the height of the morning rush hour, and we have been tracking this story ever since it happened, and right now we are on breaking news coverage for you. The latest number we have is 48 people injured. Again, that number, if you have been following this, really jumped up. Initially, the reports were coming in perhaps 9-10 people injured, although we were hearing a number of ambulances and emergency crews responding to the scene from nearby suburbs, and probably within the last half hour, 40 minutes, that number of injured jumped up to 48. So far, we have only heard from Loyola Hospital on air here with us, with a spokesperson telling us that they received 4 patients, and those 4 patients who went to Loyola received apparently non-serious injuries with lacerations. It was described lacerations to their backs and their heads. We have not yet heard right here on air from the other hospitals as far as the injured, but we were able to see from our chopper shot, and you see right there, this was taken from earlier, many people being transported on the stretchers onto waiting ambulances. We also saw about half an hour, 40 minutes after this initial collision, many people just sitting on the curbside, either waiting to be treated or waiting for shuttle buses to transport them to work. Again, this happened right in the middle of rush hour. Many people on the trains, many people standing on the platforms, and we so appreciate the witnesses who have called in this morning, who have posted on Facebook and Twitter to give us your perspective of what happened, because so far the official word from the CTA is that they simply don't know yet what happened, but we do know it was an eastbound train, westbound train, different directions on the same track.
And we do have a little bit more information here from the CTA regarding service. Right now, even though they're trying to single track around Harlem to get some trains moving, they are not stopping at Harlem because of this incident, the ongoing investigation, and all of the wreckage that needs to be cleared, so on and so forth. So trains will not be stopping at Harlem, but they are going to try and continue to single track around the incident at Harlem. So with delays, you should still be able to get around this to get to O'Hare, back and forth downtown between Forest Park and Austin. That's where they had the disruption in service when this all happened shortly before 8 o'clock this morning.
Okay, Roz, I'm sorry. I'm just listening to the latest medical updates that we are getting into the newsroom right now. As I've been saying, Loyola checked in with us. They have 4 patients there with non-life-threatening injuries. That's how they are describing it. They're saying that most of the patients suffered head and back lacerations. We also just got word that West Suburban received 1 patient who was described to be in good condition. Oak Park Hospital received 5 patients, all of them described to be in good or stable condition. We are checking on Stroger, Loretta, and McNeil still this morning, trying to hear from them to see how many patients that they received. Again, altogether, the latest word is that 48 people, nearly 50 people were injured from this collision that happened just before 8 o'clock this morning. Again, that's the latest medical update we have. We know that CTA officials are on the scene. You see them right there. Our Chopper 7 continues to fly over the scene as they are inspecting the wreckage, inspecting the tracks to see just what happened. And as far as we know from the CTA, the official word this morning that this is just a preliminary stage of their investigation. They were not able to ask us. We asked what potentially could have led to 2 trains going different directions but landing on the same track. There was no answer. They couldn't answer that at this point. As far as getting in touch with people that you may know who may have been on these 2 trains or standing on the platform, there is not an official emergency number. However, if you would like to, you can contact the RTA's general information line, or you can contact CTA's general information line. Although when we were speaking to the CTA spokesperson on air here live, she was not able to give us direct information about, which patients went where. So we're still tracking all of that down for you. Again, we are on breaking news coverage here this morning. This incident happening just before 8 o'clock. We are approaching 2 hours after, and you can still see pictures coming into our newsroom, on our Facebook page, on our Twitter feed, new pictures of the collision. Many people standing on that platform when this happened, waiting for their typical morning commuter train, and this happening directly in front of their eyes. We heard from one of the witnesses saying that, yeah, many people, as we do today, took out their phones trying to take pictures of the initial collision, and then realizing that there were quite a few people who were injured. And of course, everybody then jumped into that mode of helping out the injured until 911 and emergency officials can get on the scene. And we heard that there were people on the platform. There were walking wounded being treated. Again, so far, the injuries that we are hearing, thankfully, are described as non-life-threatening. And Roz is tracking new information right now, and I'm going to bring her in again.
I'm trying to text the people over at the CTA and see if they can give us a call and give us some updated information. But the one thing, you talk about these 2 trains that collided, and fortunately, the number of injuries non-life-threatening, because you're thinking as these trains are pulling in or pulling out of the station, they're not going at full speed. I mean, These things go 50, 55 miles an hour. And I can't even imagine if it was going at full speed if something like that happened. But we, again, are looking at Chopper 7 HD live over the scene of the Eisenhower Expressway next to the Blue Line train there. And you can see that they still have a lot of emergency equipment. And it's not only slowing down, obviously, the trains, but it is slowing down the traffic as well.
Okay, right now we're going to take you back down to the scene on the ground with our Diane Patthew. Diane?
And Judy, there's just a lot of activity here along the crash scene. There's CTA officials everywhere taking a closer look at exactly what happened, exactly the damage that was done to this eastbound train. Again, the westbound train was stopped on the same track as an incoming eastbound train. The train, one of the witnesses described to us hearing the conductor screaming, "Stop the train, stop the train." And then there was the loud boom, a crash. 48 people now injured. Thankfully, many of them have minor injuries. Now comes the work of trying to figure out why the train is on the tracks and why this all happened. Reporting live here in Forest Park, Diane Patthew, ABC 7 News. Judy, back to you.
All right, Diane, thank you very much. As Diane mentioned, yes, lots of activity still going on there at the scene, and we can see that from the aerial pictures from Chopper 7, which has been on scene ever since this happened this morning. The investigation just in its early stages. We are still waiting to get some official confirmation as to how this could have happened. Again, 2 trains, one going westbound, one going eastbound, somehow ended up on the same tracks. Right now, almost 50 people injured. We will continue to bring you new information throughout the morning. For right now, it's Judy Sue and Roz Varon reporting from the Channel 7 studios.
This has been a special report from ABC.